Good evening, everyone, or good night, everyone, as this game has been postponed until now 8:44 p.m. Eastern Time, the official first pitch between the Spinners and the Corndogs, and the first pitch of the night is going to be back against the stop for ball number 1. Thank you for tuning in and keeping posted with the Corndogs. We know that the rain in the area has made things difficult to keep track of. There are points in the day when we thought that we would all be going home early, but instead we have the sixth and final matchup of the season between these two squads. The last four of these games, have all been decided by a single run. So the Spinners Corndogs season has been a very back and forth affair, you would think. That being said, the Corndogs are currently down 4-1 on the year to the Spinners. And this is the third game at Moore Park. Corndogs 0-2 here so far, both those losses coming by a combined 2 runs. And the first batter of the game, now in a 2-1 count, is Wilson Lohr. Starting on the bump for the Spinners is going to be number 14, Matt Lintz. We'll get into Lintz a little bit more here, as the Corndogs no strangers to Lintz on the mound so far this season. The 6'3 righty making his 9th appearance and 3rd start of the year. He's already started one of those games against Queen City. He gets a quick visit on the mound from his catcher. That's Bullock behind the plate. Here in the first at-bat, as Wilson Lohr currently out ahead, 3-1. Corndogs coming off an out-of-conference victory against the Carolina Disco Turkeys on Thursday. Had off on Friday. Get off to a nice start here as Wilson Lohr takes the walk and heads on over to first.
All right, leadoff walk from Larry Lohr. Next up for the Corndogs, number 25, the third baseman, Mookie Wilson.
That sends up number 25, Harrison Wilson. And the Corndogs, we mentioned, out-of-conference victory against the Disco Turkeys. That came in extra innings, a riveting game between those two opponents. 10-9 victory for the Corndogs in that one, as Wilson Lohr, who leads Queen City in stolen bases, taking a big lead over there on first. And the pitch from Lynch is going to be low for ball number 1. Harrison Wilson moving all the way up to the 2-hole tonight for the Corndogs. Had a productive day against the Disco Turkeys, going 2 of 5. And up 1-0 in the count here is Harrison Wilson, who bats just a hair below 300 on the season. But he'll pop this one out over to second base. The play made by Anderson. And one down here in the top of the first frame. Meanwhile, the Spinners coming off a win, 7-6 over the Statesville Owls, helping draw them closer within the SCBL standings. Statesville still ahead, leading the conference. The Corndogs sitting pretty at 4th right now after moving back to 500 earlier in the week against Concord, and the Spinners sitting in the top 3. Playoffs are just a week away as Lohr is going to gun it over to second, and he's able to get there in time. That's something to look out for tonight. Don't imagine that there'll be too many stolen bases, as the rain made the dirt into mud here for most of the afternoon. It's been fixed so it can be played on, but still far from ideal, as Lohr picks up the steal and continues his dominant season on the base path. Make it now a team best 14 thefts for Wilson Lohr, and that one is boomed into the outfield. Bye-bye, Dylan Lewis, 2-run shot. Number 42 for the Corndogs, coming off a home run against the Disco Turkeys, says give me one more, and puts 2 on the board here early for Queen City.
Number 42, Lewis. Well struck.
Dylan Lewis hit that one dead center and was a no-doubter. Had a solo home run against the Disco Turkeys, as we mentioned. And speaking of home runs, and speaking about having home runs against the Disco Turkeys, we have Harrison Bouthelette batting in the cleanup spot tonight for the Corndogs. After that 2-run home run, Bouthelette is about as hot as any batter you could ever imagine in the college ranks, but goes swinging on that one. Bouthillette, in his last game against the Disco Turkeys, just absolutely fried the turkeys, grilled the turkeys, smoked the turkeys, whatever you want, whatever your best preparation for a turkey is. That's what Harrison Bouthillette did to them. Went 4 of 4 over there at Wake Forest and had 2 doubles, 2 home runs, and 4 RBIs. Bouthillette, who leads the SCBL in RBIs, and now in a 1-1 count against the pitcher, Matt Lintz. Looking to keep that streak going. The lefty from Indian Land, South Carolina, watches that one go just outside, so make it 2-1 now on Matt Lintz, who had only allowed 5 runs through 18-plus innings of work, boasting a 2.46 ERA, which is second in the SCBL, and already has 2 runs on the board here after that whale of a hit from Dylan Lewis. Meanwhile, Harrison Bouthillette fouls that one back to even the count at 2. Still only 1 down for Lintz. And matchups between these two squads have been very defensive focused. Last game was the highest scoring game between the two teams with a combined 13 runs. That was the Corndogs' first win against the Spinners in the game 2 of a doubleheader, as that pitch is whiffed on and the play finished off at first. Nice throw by the catcher, Garrison Bullock, behind the plate, and now 2 down after the strikeout from Bouthillette. Bouthillette, not getting on base for the first time in 2 games, was 8 for his last 8. And all good things must come to an end, I guess, as Bouthillette puts a pause in his hitting streak. And now with 2 outs on the board, he's going to be followed by number 38 normally, but number 11 tonight in the yellow uniforms, Tyler Cotto. Cotto getting the start at catcher. Didn't play against the Disco Turkeys and swings on a strike 1 from Matt Lintz right there. Lintz, that was his 27th strikeout of the season. Looking to settle back in after giving up the 2-run shot, and gets a second strike right there on Tyler Cotto. A nice start to this at-bat and a chance to end the inning here as Cotto down 0-2 with 2 outs. Has to protect the plate. Cotto, a .321 batter, 25 hits on the season. Watches that one go low and outside for ball number 1, trying to work his way back in this count. Matt Lintz actually got action in that 6-7 loss back at the Friar last week in a doubleheader in game 2 against the Corndogs. Put up 2 innings of work with 2 earned runs. Had 1 strikeout and 3 base on balls, and gets a strikeout right there. His second of the inning, but not without damage done. Dylan Lewis hits a 2-run rocket and brings in him and Wilson Lohr to get out to the early lead here at Moore Park. All right, we're here for the bottom of the first inning. Queen City uses a 2-run home run from Dylan Lewis, his second game in a row with a home run blast. Puts the Corndogs on the board up 2 and gives the keys to Seth Edgerton, the ace for this Corndogs roster, who gets out to a quick 0-2 count on number 16, Aiden Evans. Evans making his 17th appearance of the season at the plate, leading things off here. And going down in 3, the first strikeout of the game for Seth Edgerton, and that is a familiar sight for Corndogs fans. Edgerton gets his 39th of the season in what is now his 27th inning of work. Edgerton is an absolute machine for Jeff Pluta and his squad, and look just apart right there. That sends up number 13, Jared Foley. Number 3, Jared Foley. And 4 pitches, 4 strikes for Seth Edgerton, who has the most pitches and as well as the most strikeouts out of any Corndog. Foley checks himself on that one, and the first ball of the night from Edgerton evens the count up at 1. Jared Foley, the utility infielder for this Mooresville Center squad, has played 20 games in the SCBL and watches that pitch go high. A staple of this Spinners lineup, batting .282 with 20 hits, which is good for second on the team. And with a 2-1 count, fouls that one way back and onto Broad Street here. There was a little fender bender earlier during warm-ups. Hopefully that one doesn't hit any cars. As a 2-2 count goes in, and it's going to be grounded over to Cannon Pierce, starting at second tonight, not his natural position, but looked like it was pretty comfortable for him, as now 2 down and 2 at-bats for Seth Edgerton. Now that brings up number 6, Noah Love. Love has been another one of these guys for the Spinners that is frequent in the lineup, to say the least. Has played 20 conference games so far with a .288 average and a team-high 21 hits. Getting his first look of the night at Edgerton as it goes over his head for ball number 1. 2 down here for Noah Love, looking to get the first hit of the night, and fouls that one straight back for a quick 1-1 mark on him. Just 1-1 pitch is going to be low from Edgerton and bring up a 2-1 count now. Noah Love has been very productive against the Corndogs so far this season. Had 1 hit against Queen City earlier, as this one is coming right back towards us and bounces right into the bleachers. That'll be a close call for the Spinners faithful here, as now we have a 2-2 mark on Noah Love. Love has only struck out in 70-plus at-bats on the season, so it's going to take a lot of work for Edgerton to get his second of the inning here, as a 2-2 mark with no runners on, 2 down here. Queen City out in front early, and that pitch is going to be hammered into right field, and it will be caught running back towards the warning track. Luke Harris makes a difficult play right there by the foul post and sends us to the top of the second, with Queen City still on top 2-0. We've reached the second inning here between the Corndogs and the Spinners. Queen City out in front 2-0 off a 2-run blast from Dylan Lewis in the top of the first. Matt Lintz for Mooresville retaking the bump, allowed the 2-run shot, but also had 2 punch-outs in the first inning. A little bit of good, a little bit of bad, and some in between as that pitch is way high for ball number 1. Slipped out of the hand of the 6'3" righty from Rogers State University and brings up a 1-0 count on the lefty Cannon Pierce. Pierce coming off a 1-of-2 performance against the Disco Turkeys, where he also stepped onto the bump and got his first pitching work of the season. Only allowed 1 hit in 1 inning of work, and though it was far from a surreal performance, the fact that he was able to come in at that time and provide a shutout inning gave him the win on the scorecard. So, winning pitcher Cannon Pierce is now up 3-0 in the count. Pierce is top 3 on the Corndogs in walks on the season. Looking close to getting another one right here. The 3-0 pitch is in from Lintz and high, so command an issue in that at-bat as Cannon Pierce in 4 pitches will head over to first base. That's the 15th walk of the season for Matt Lintz, which is a team high for the Spinners. And it'll send up number 4, Caleb Singleton. Caleb Singleton, the speedster from Lander University, went 1 of 4 with an RBI single against the Disco Turkeys. Getting his first look of the night against the Spinners. As the switch hitter from Goose Creek, South Carolina, watches that go in for strike number 1. Cannon Pierce over at first, who has the second most steals on this team. Tied for second, I should say, with 10 thefts on the year. The UNC Asheville Bulldog is taking a big lead over at first, and that pitch is going to be low and away. Count now even at 1. The Corndogs got 17 hits against the Disco Turkeys on Thursday, 9 of them being for RBIs. Super productive day at the plate. Looking to carry that over for this conference matchup. The season series is already clinched by Mooresville, though every game matters as the playoffs are officially less than a week away. The standings look just as flexible as ever, though the Statesville Owls have appeared to pull away a bit here as we approach the final week of regular season action. And the Corndogs will have a 4-game homestand in the upcoming week. But for now, look to take their first road game against the Spinners on the season. 0-2 here at Moore Park so far. Both losses gut-wrenching by 1 run. Queen City trying to prove that they've improved, and a 3-1 pitch coming up for Lintz. Looks down, Cannon Pierce over at first. And deals it in and high, so make it a second consecutive walk from Matt Lintz. As Singleton will head over to first, and 2 of the 4 leading base stealers for the Corndogs are on base. And even if they're not going to steal anything, that speed will prove to be an advantage for sure. As number 33, Peter Gullo, heads up to the plate. Gullo was one of the few batters against the Disco Turkeys that didn't have their best day. Went 0 of 2 with 2 strikeouts, but the 6'2" righty from Charlotte is a talented hitter in his own right, and makes you wonder if he's due for one soon, but we won't see if that's going to happen soon as Gullo gets beamed by that pitch, and the Anderson University product will take his base. So 3 runners on for Matt Lintz without a single hit allowed, as he looks to find some sort of comfort zone going against number 13, Luke Harris.
Number 13, Happy Harris.
Harris just had that Very nice play over there in right field to get the final out of the first inning for Queen City. And with bases loaded, takes a big swing at that one, but comes up with nothing. 0-1 count now for Luke Harris, who's batting 191 on the season with 9 hits. And even despite the subpar batting average, is 4th on the team in on-base percentage. And that one's going to be high near the head of Harris to even up the count at 1. So we have Cannon Pierce over at third, Singleton at second, and Gullo at first. No outs yet in the inning. As Luke Harris will take a quick time. Harris was 0-1 against the Disco Turkeys, but played in both games of this doubleheader between these two squads and went a combined 0-6. And a hit by pitch again right there will bring in a run for the Corndogs. 3-0 in favor of Queen City, as 2 walks and 2 hit by pitches from Matt Lintz, who is having an off night to start things off here. The second best ERA man in the entire Southern Collegiate Baseball League. Has brought in 3 so far.
One more cross. Next up,
Now the bottom of the order up for Queen City with Garrett Sanner. Garrett Sanner was 0-2 when these teams played in the second leg of a doubleheader, but had a walk to get on base, and he chops this one over towards the third baseman, and the play unable to be made. Jared Foley can't scoop that one up, and another run comes in for the Corndogs, off to their best start against the Spinners that we've seen all season. Sanner gets the RBI single on the infield error, and that will bring back up the top of the order with Wilson Lohr, who got walked his first time up at bat. Lintz so far has walked 3, hit 2, and allowed 2 hits, but yet 4 runs have came in for Queen City. Wilson Lohr with a team best 397 average on the season, boasting 25 hits and only 3 RBIs as the leadoff, but a chance to get some more here as the first pitch he sees will be fouled right in our direction. Make it a 1-0 mark on the Southeastern Community College transfer. Wilson Lohr, in both games against Mooresville earlier in the week, went a combined 2 of 8 and had more strikeouts in that 2 set of games than he had the entire season leading into that. Obviously, given the stats, still in ship-shape condition is Lohr. Just an off night against the Spinners in that doubleheader. Still somehow batting around 400 on the season, near 500 in the SCBL. And the lefty with an 0-2 count, looking to protect the plate here. And nice play made behind the plate by Garrison Bullock as the pitch from Lintz was in the dirt. Count moves to 1-2 on Wilson Lohr, 6'3", 185-pound Charlottean, who was named SCBL Player of the Week back in week number 2, one of 2 Corndogs to win the award, the other being Cannon Pierce, who just got across home plate for that 4th run. Lintz, meanwhile, has this one grounded over to second. The flip from Anderson to Lyda. Lyda back to first, and the runner is safe. So a fielder's choice will put one more run on the board for Queen City. Peter Gullo gets across and makes this lead 5-0. Though another out is also on the board. One more down here for Lintz.
All right, 1 out recorded.
And the bases will have runners on the corners now.
Third baseman, number 25.
Harrison Wilson, who is 0-1 on the night, flew out in the first inning. Already back up the bat here in the top of the second. The Winthrop Eagle has Lohr over at first, and grounds this one right over to the second baseman, Anderson, and it bounces off of his chest. Luke Harris will come home, and Queen City continues the onslaught, 6-0 here in the top of the second. And by the looks of it, you wouldn't tell that this team in the Corndogs is only 1-4 on the season against the Spinners. As a visit to the mound is in store, Matt Lintz being checked up on by Spinners, and so we will see what decisions are made after this quick break. Welcome back, everyone, or should I say, welcome back-ish. Just wanted to give you a verbal update instead of on the little ticker that we have below, though you should follow the social media for the Corndogs if you don't already. That being said, some field maintenance is undergoing its process over there towards second base. So this delay may be a bit longer than anticipated, though it won't be enough to stop action, of course. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy this extended time. Maybe go up and grab a water, grab something to eat from the pantry, and we'll be back in a minute. We're back here from Moore Park. Thank you for the patience, though doesn't really apply to me. I'm not in charge of the field, as that pitch is in for strike number one. New pitcher in the game replacing Matt Lintz is going to be number 19, James Johnson. Lintz just wasn't himself tonight. Entered with 26 strikeouts, only 14 walks, and threw 3 walks tonight. Hit 2 pitchers and allowed 6 runs to get us to this point. Queen City now with Dylan Lewis up to bat. Hit a home run his first time up and skies this one towards third base. The play made by Jared Foley. And 3 down here in the...
Second out of the inning.
Oh, they're ruling this is the second out of the inning, pardon me. So that pop out from Dylan Lewis sends up number 37, Harrison Bouthelette. Really can't overstate how dynamite Harrison Bouthelette has been as of late. Had the first multi-home run game of any Corndog this year, and now in franchise history, considering it's the first year the Corndogs have existed against the Disco Turkeys. Had a home run earlier in the week, 2 against Statesville, and now is up to 5 on the season, which is second on Queen City. Harrison Bouthelette is now also up to the second best average on the team after batting below 300 in the 280 range for so long. He gets up to 354 on the season and a pickle on our hands. Harrison Wilson was halfway over to second and decided to retreat. The ground's playing a part in that as Harrison Wilson slips up and gets tapped over at first, so 3 down, and that will bring us to the bottom of the second with Queen City on top 6-0. Welcome back for the bottom of the second inning. Corndogs put up 4 in the top of the frame and get this lead out to 6-0. And if you're a spinner, not the sight you want to see for multiple reasons. Obviously, being down 6-0 is not the position anyone wants to be in. But going against the Corndogs' best pitcher is a whole nother story, as Davis Turner, the extra hitter tonight for Mooresville, misses on that attempt and brings up a 1-1 count after a first pitch ball from Seth Edgerton. Edgerton went 3 up, 3 down in the first, and that one goes down into the dirt as a 2-1 mark is on the way. Edgerton has been simply excellent on the bump for Queen City. Made his last appearance in game 1 of a doubleheader versus Lake Norman and gets that off speed just outside for a 2-1, 3-1 mark make it. But Edgerton, 6 innings pitched against Lake Norman with only 4 hits and 2 earned runs. Struck out 8 batters along the way and walks his first batter here tonight. Davis Turner gets over to first base. That's only his 7th walk of the year. And for Edgerton, that's his 19th walk that he's thrown. So now that brings up number 5, Jeremy Green Jr. Green Jr., in his first at-bat of the night, has the first base runner of the night for the Spinners, as Edgerton launches that one right at the plate to make it a 1-0 count. Jeremy Green, a senior from Troutman, North Carolina, making his 15th appearance of the year tonight, batting .262 and opting not to bat on that one as the count moves to 1-1 after the looking strike from Edgerton. Seth Edgerton entered tonight's contest with a 3.12 ERA over 26 innings of work, and the attempt to pick off Turner at first is not going to be there, so we'll reset with a 1-1 pitch coming up again. Edgerton, the 6'4", 215-pounder from Greer, South Carolina, throws that one in the dirt again, so a little bit low, as that's where he's been missing. And a 2-1 count now for Jeremy Green Jr., who in 14 games of work only has 3 strikeouts on the year, but also only 4 walks. When he's getting to the plate, he's making contact, and that one's actually going to make contact with Jeremy Green as the pitch hits Green, and that's going to put 2 on for the Spinners. Edgerton having a quick conversation with Tyler Cotto, the man behind the plate. That'll bring up number 15, the left fielder, Tafton Hensley, excuse me. Hensley, the 6'2", 205-pounder from Western Carolina University, is 2 of 22 in 7 games, looking to get back on track as that first pitch is going to be a strike looking. First 2 base runners of the night on simultaneously for this Mooresville team. The leading man is Davis Turner. Not a threat to steal, as that's going to be ball number 1 from Edgerton. Edgerton, 1 strike away from reaching 40 on the season. Just an excellent campaign for the Belmont Abbey product. Started off somewhat shaky in some of his starts and has turned things around totally here, becoming the best pitcher for the Corndogs in most statistical categories. Over his last 12 innings, Edgerton has only allowed 4 runs with 13 strikeouts in the process. Dominance from the righty ace. Jeff Pluta rolling him out tonight once again for a matchup against Mooresville, and that one's going to be high. 2-2 count now on Tafton Hensley, who is coming off an 0-4 performance against Statesville. A game that the Spinners were down 6-1 in before coming back all the way to take it 7-6. The Owls still maintain first place in the SCBL. And a 2-2 pitch is going to be hit off the handle of the bat to make it a 2-2 count once again. So an inadvertent foul ball from Hensley gives us a quick reset here as runners on second and first for Mooresville with no outs yet. Down 6-0 and looking to find the offense to make a comeback as Hensley's able to check on that swing. And Corndogs faithful not having it. The visiting section. Small but mighty tonight for your Queen City Corndogs. Can't even blame them, though. We thought that we were going to be heading home around 6 p.m., and then we just kept on waiting, and then finally the word came in as a walk right there from Edgerton, the second of the inning, puts 2 on put Henley on and loads the bases as it looks like, was that lightning or is that what we just saw?
Next up, designated hitter number 10.
We're not sure. Storms are projected to come in the area at some point, and if that's the case, then
Oh, he's doing the worm. Are you serious?
we have had no shortage of weather issues today. The field looked like a literal pigsty to the point where the mud and grass was just one cohesive slop. And now with the bases loaded, a swing and a miss out of number 10, Luke Holland, one of the extra hitters tonight. If this game were to get delayed, both coaches discussed the possibility of moving it to Sunday, and that would not be possible. So we'll just play until we don't, it looks like. And if you're a Queen City fan, ending the game with this score wouldn't be too bad of a result. So Holland down 0-2 in the count. Swings and misses on 3 in a row. That is his 11th strikeout in 8 games. And puts the first out on the board for the Corndogs. Edgerton, meanwhile, crosses the 40 strikeout threshold. A great achievement for him individually. Looking to get the job done, though, as a team, because the bases are loaded right now for the catcher, Garrison Bullock. And another swinging strike. Edgerton looks to have refound his stuff here in the last at-bat or so. Bullock, making his 3rd appearance of the season, is 2 of 4 on the year. And now 1-1 in the count. Bullock played in Game 2 of the doubleheader versus the Corndogs, going 0 of 2 in that performance. And the Concord native getting a nod tonight behind the plate. And stepping up to the plate now with a 1-1 mark on him, bases loaded, and looking for his first RBI of the season, as that one is bunted inadvertently over to second baseman Cannon Pierce, and 1 run will come across. Davis Turner scores the first tally of the night and brings this game within 5. As the fielder's choice also puts another out on the board. And the bases will be the bases will have runners on 2nd and 3rd. Which brings up number 2, Mason Lyda. Lyda, the left-handed batter from Mills River, North Carolina, making his 15th appearance of the season, only batting .205 and being tasked with taking on Seth Edgerton as he fouls that one straight back. Edgerton allows his first run of the game here in the bottom of the 2nd, but still has a 5-run cushion. The Corndogs offense has been dynamite to start things off here. And with 2 outs, runners on 2nd and 3rd, that pitch is going to be just low. 1-1 mark coming up as a slight drizzle is beginning to hit Moore Park. Obviously, I'm no weatherman, but you have to imagine that with all the field preparation, any significant amount of rain may put us at a position where this game might just get called early. And if that's the case, then likely won't be made up as playoffs start next week. And that one is walloped into the outfield, and a 2-3 run home run. Mason Lyda brings the Spinners within 2, and both teams here are a machine on offense. Mason Lyda, who only had 2 RBIs on the season, brings in 3 alone on that play, and as the rain comes down, so do the home runs. Spinners bring this back within 2 with a 4-run bottom of the 2nd inning.
That's why we don't park in right field. Nope.
Mason Lyda gets his first dinger of the season, and Seth Edgerton, who started off this game on fire, has now allowed 4 runs in the contest. Which brings up Colby Anderson. As the rain is continuing to come down here a bit. And Seth Edgerton with 2 outs after giving up the 3-run shots. The second home run between these 2 teams in as many innings. Faces the lefty Colby Anderson, who's 1 of 10 on the season through 5 games. And fans starting to relocate and exit towards their cars, some bringing out umbrellas. Not raining too heavily, but could be an indicator of things to come. And for the sake of our technology, if you see a sudden pause, then it will likely be because I don't want my laptop to need a renewal. So, 3-0 pitch makes it 4-0, and Colby Anderson picks up his third, make it fourth walk of the season.
We are going to draw for the winner of the bike in between innings here. So
That will bring up the top of the order once again, number 16, Aiden Evans.
Next up for the Spinners, center fielder, number 16, Aiden Evans.
Aiden Evans was 0 of 1 in his first at bat. Seth Edgerton now reeling a bit and throws that one into the dirt. A combined 8 runs here in the second inning, excuse me. An offensive showcase between the Spinners and the Corndogs. Just after we mentioned earlier that a lot of these games between these two opponents have not surpassed 10 runs combined. Only 2 of the 5 have, and in one of those, the Corndogs got beat 12-0. So as the precipitation continues, and the stands here at Moore Park start to thin out, Aiden Evans has a 3-0 count, the second consecutive batter with the 3-0 count for the Corndogs, or for the Spinners, as that one's in for a strike. Seth Edgerton at this point just trying to get out of the inning in one piece. Never thought you'd be saying that about Edgerton, who is top 5 in the SCBL in ERA, strikeouts, and innings pitched. And Evans will get walked right there. Another one for Edgerton, and 2 more on base for the Spinners. As
Next up for the Spinners, third baseman, number 3.
Jared Foley will return to the mound, excuse me for the pause, trying to gauge the weather here. A modest drizzle at most, though we don't know how much more can come, and that pitch sits just outside of the zone. Seth Edgerton searching for just that final out. And that pitch is swung and missed on by Foley. A heater in there from Edgerton makes it a 1-1 count. Edgerton had only allowed a handful of runs over his last 12 innings. Surpassed that here in the bottom of the second alone. Gives you a good idea about the ups and downs that this game can provide. As it's starting to pour here, and with that, I'm going to actually have to pause this broadcast and bid you guys adieu. Looks like we may be done here. So keep on the Twitter or Instagram at Queen City BSB for the rest of the updates if this game is to continue, but if not,